Welcome to From A to Zelling, your data-driven guide to South Florida real estate. Right now, the market seems to be telling two completely different stories at the same time. In this explainer, we're going to dig into the data and make sense of these contradictions.
So you read one headline, and it says it's a buyer's market. Prices are getting slashed left and right. Then you see another that says the ultra-luxury market is having its second-best year ever. So what's the real story? Is the power finally shifting back to buyers, or are sellers still holding all the cards? Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise.
And here's how we'll do it. First, we're going to look at the big picture signs of that market shift. Then, we'll dive into what I'm calling the Great Condo Paradox. It's a fascinating story. After that, we'll see how developers are reacting by going on a global hunt for buyers. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a simple, actionable playbook for you. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so to really get our bearings, we have to start with the market-wide trends. The data we've seen over the last few weeks, well, it's painting a pretty compelling picture of change. It shows some really clear signs that the absolute frenzy of the last few years, it's definitely starting to cool down. According to some great reporting from The Real Deal, we're seeing sellers all across South Florida slashing their asking prices. And why? Because listings are just sitting on the market longer. You know, for condo buyers especially, this is a massive change. The insane bidding wars from a year or two ago, they're pretty much gone. Instead, we have a surge in available inventory, which means buyers suddenly have options. And when you have options, you have power. This number right here, this one number, tells you almost everything you need to know about the shift in buyer thinking. In July, 21% of pending home sales in Fort Lauderdale just fell through. That's one of the highest cancellation rates in the entire country. And Miami wasn't far behind at 17%. So what this really means is that buyers feel empowered. They are no longer scared to walk away from a deal if the inspection turns up something they don't like, or if they just get a feeling they're overpaying.
And there's another thing creating a unique kind of pressure cooker in the market, specifically with older condos. You see, in the wake of the Surfside tragedy, new safety regulations are forcing buildings to finally fund their reserves and make some very costly repairs. This means higher monthly fees and sometimes huge special assessments, which is pushing some owners to sell. And at the same time, it's making some buyers hesitate, all of which adds even more inventory to the market and gives buyers even more leverage.
Okay, but just as it seems like the whole market is tipping towards buyers, something really fascinating and totally counterintuitive is happening inside the condo space. This is what I'm calling the Great Condo Paradox.
You have to hear this. According to a new report from the Miami Association of Realtors, older condos, we're talking 30 years or older, are now selling way faster than brand new ones. It's a complete market inversion, a total flip from what you'd expect. A typical new construction unit sits on the market for about 79 days, while an older unit, it goes under contract in just 62. That's more than 2 weeks faster.
So, I mean, just look at this. While the skyline keeps filling up with these shiny, new, ultra-luxury towers, it's the older, more established buildings where the real sales velocity is right now. So the question is, why? Why on earth are buyers flocking to these older properties?
Well, it really boils down to three big things. First, and this is the main one, is just affordability, plain and simple. You can often buy an older condo for less than half the price of a new one. Buyers are doing the math. They're realizing they can buy an older unit, budget for a complete renovation, and still come out way, way ahead. Second, there's a new sense of confidence. You know, those new safety laws we mentioned, they're actually reassuring buyers that these buildings are solid and a safe long-term investment. And finally, it's just demand. We still have strong population growth, which fuels the need for entry-level housing, and these older condos fill that role perfectly.
But here's the other side of the paradox where it gets really interesting. While affordability is driving all this volume, the ultra-high end is absolutely on fire. The South Florida Business Journal notes that we're on pace for the second-best year ever for sales over $10 million. Get this, in Miami-Dade, sales of homes priced over $3,000 a square foot are up a staggering 115% year over year. So we have this bizarre market that is somehow rewarding both the value hunters and the high-end splurgers at the exact same time.
So if you're a developer of one of those brand new towers and your domestic sales are, let's say, a little more patient than you'd like, what do? Well, you make a major strategic pivot. You start looking abroad.
That's exactly right. High interest rates, plus these really long delivery times of 4 to 6 years, are making a lot of U.S. buyers a little hesitant to commit to pre-construction right now. So, developers are dusting off a playbook that worked back in the 2000s.
they're hitting the road. They are literally traveling to international real estate expos from London to Latin America, courting foreign investors who are just culturally more comfortable with that pre-construction model.
You can really see the strategic shift here. The focus used to be almost entirely on those wealthy buyers from the Northeast, but now, the future of many of these huge skyline-defining projects really depends on securing foreign capital to hit the pre-sale targets they need just to get construction financing. The reality is, without buyers from places like Argentina, Mexico, and Turkey, some of these towers might never get built.
Okay, so we've looked at the big market shifts, the crazy condo paradox, and how developers are responding. But what does all of this actually mean for you? Let's distill all this information into a clear, actionable playbook.
For buyers, the message is pretty clear. The greatest opportunity for value right now is in the resale market. You've got to look past the shiny new objects. An older, well-maintained condo in a great location could be your ticket in. You just have to factor in a renovation budget, and you could create your dream home for far less than new construction. And for sellers, look, unless you're in that top 1% ultra-luxury category, you absolutely must price your property strategically from day one. This is not the market of 2022. Buyers have options, and they will just scroll right past overpriced listings. Being competitive from the get-go is the key to a successful sale.
So the real takeaway here is that South Florida is not one single market. It's a market of contradictions, right? You've got incredible strength at the very top, you've got this fast-moving, affordability-driven market in the middle, and then you have a broader shift in power happening everywhere else. The key is understanding these different currents to figure out where your opportunity is. And that's your data-driven look at South Florida's contradictory market.